We're here today to announce a new training video that's going to be available both to our school teachers and school personnel as well as DHHR personnel. The training is going to be on human trafficking. I've got a number of people here with me today, and I hope I got them all. Behind me here in support of this project and to get this implemented across the district and the state. I have behind me the President of the West Virginia School Board of Education, President Paul Hardesty. I have the West Virginia State School Superintendent Michelle Black. I have Stephanie Abraham, who's General Counsel for the Department of Education. From the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, I have Dr. Cynthia Persily. She's the incoming Cabinet Secretary of what will now be the West Virginia Department of Human Services. I also have Deputy Secretary Cammie Chapman. I have Andrea Dar, who was very essential in the creation of this video, and she was the inaugural director of the West Virginia Center for Children's Justice. I have FBI Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Tony Rausa, Homeland Security Investigation Resident Agent in charge Pat Kelly. From the West Virginia State Police, I have Lieutenant Colonel Brad Mankins and Captain C.F. Kane. From the West Virginia Fusion Center, I have Paula Yount and Samantha Dial. From the Kanawha County Schools Director of Counseling and Testing, I have John Duffy. From the Cabell County Schools, I have Superintendent Ron Sachs. From Wayne County Schools, I have Superintendent Todd Alexander. I also have Jennifer Harold. She's with my office. She's an AUSA, and she's in charge of our human trafficking. We felt this video would be real important for our school personnel and DHHR workers, CPS workers to view. Human trafficking has been a focus of my tenure here in the office as the United States Attorney. It's a very real problem. It's a problem where we've prosecuted several cases while I've been here, and of course before I've got here. I'm not going to get into specifics of those cases today. I'm happy to answer any questions on those. But this is something that's a very real problem in West Virginia. And this training today is going to help us, or help the teachers and CPS personnel to learn the risk factors and vulnerabilities of human trafficking, how to identify red flags for human trafficking, learn how to respond to suspected trafficking. What do you do when you have that situation? And also, we've got some hypotheticals. One's geared toward school personnel video, and then there's another video that's geared toward CPS and DHR workers, what to do when they encounter something that might be a human trafficking. There wouldn't be a press conference without some statistics. I want to share some of those. More than half of our minor victims of human trafficking attend school while being trafficked. So that's why I thought this was real important to make our school personnel aware of this. 2/3 of our human trafficking victims have been either involved in the juvenile justice or foster care system. That's why I thought DHHR would be a really good partner for this. And this is sobering. More than 80% of those trafficked under the age of 10 are trafficked by a family member. The overall point of this today is to call attention to human trafficking and ways we can address it in West Virginia, ways we can better train people to recognize it, and what to do when they do recognize it. I do have some other speakers today, and the first one I would like to introduce is Dr. Cynthia Persily.
Thank you. Well, thank you, and thank you for having us here today. Thank you for inviting me to join you. The agency partners who are all present today share an important belief, and that is there is no place for human trafficking in our communities, in our state, or in our world. Within the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources and the future Department of Human Services, this work is primarily addressed, as you heard, by our Child Protective Services workers. These situations are heartbreaking and they're unimaginable. Having the appropriate training and the tools to respond to children in crisis situations is imperative. I'm greatly appreciative of the work to help train our field staff. No child or adult should be exploited, live in fear, or blame themselves if a victim of this horrible crime. As incoming Cabinet Secretary for the future Department of Human Services, I pledge to continue the support of the department to the work of the West Virginia Human Trafficking Task Force. I am thankful for all who have supported this important work and the task force, and especially want to thank Kendra Boley-Rogers, who represents the DHHR in this important, critical, and collaborative work. Thank you again for all of your work.
Thank you, Dr. Persily. I would now like to introduce Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Tony Rausa of the FBI.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. This is a topic that doesn't get enough attention across the United States. The FBI currently has 80 task forces dedicated to child exploitation and human trafficking across the country. One of those task forces is housed right here in southern West Virginia. The work they do is the most worthy work we have going on in the FBI. We rely very heavily on our partners, especially from HSI, on the adult side of the human trafficking, as our office focuses predominantly on the child exploitation side. It's a very sad situation. And these victims, we try to have that victim approach. Our victim services unit out of headquarters immediately jumps in to help identify these victims, get them the services they need, medical attention, resources, and to get their story out there. These stories are not only powerful, they are heartbreaking. And when you hear them, you cannot help to be moved to do something to get out there and make a difference when it comes to this issue. In the southern half of this state, the drug trade very heavily influences child exploitation and human trafficking. When we see parents exploiting their own children, as the U.S. Attorney said, age under 10, we're predominantly seeing parents exploiting their own children for drugs. It's a plague on this state. I'm happy to be a part of this task force. I am proud to stand up here with everybody else, shoulder to shoulder, hoping we can make a difference and take this fight to the traffickers. Thank you.
Thank you, Agent Rausa. I would now like to introduce Resident Agent in Charge Pat Kelly with the HSI.
Thank you. Human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights that impacts millions throughout the world, but also here in West Virginia. Human trafficking encompasses various forms, including forced labor and sex trafficking, preying upon our most marginalized members of society. In our fight against this despicable crime, Homeland Security Investigations believes in the importance of outreach initiatives. By engaging in outreach efforts, we recognize the power of raising awareness, educating communities, and empowering individuals to identify the signs of human trafficking, strengthening our collective response to combat this injustice. Collaboration stands as a pillar, working hand in hand with the United States Attorney's Office, the West Virginia State Police, the West Virginia Fusion Center, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the West Virginia Department of Education, other government organizations, and non-government organizations. Together, we confront the intricate complexities of human trafficking by leveraging our expertise, sharing intelligence, and adopting best practices. We strive to eradicate this crime from our midst. Public awareness and education campaigns serve as our armor. We aim to inform the public about the harsh realities of human trafficking, its indicators, its avenues for reporting suspected cases. By arming the community with this knowledge, we enable law enforcement to utilize existing resources, expertise, and networks effectively. In unity, law enforcement and its partners can bolster victim support services, enhance data collection, and implement strategies to prevent human trafficking. Together, we can make a difference by strengthening the collective response against human trafficking. By standing united and supporting one another, we will succeed in this mission to eradicate this heinous crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Agent Kelly. One final note, the videos we're talking about, they are available on the Handle with Care website. If you look at their virtual learning, there's the video, of course, for the school personnel and also for the DHHR personnel. I've actually seen actual victims of human trafficking, child sex exploitation trafficking, seen it both in my prior job as a circuit judge and my current job, and it is something that will truly break your heart, and that's why I think you see the support behind me today, is we want to do everything we can to end this horrible crime. Any questions?
Have you seen an increase in human trafficking?
I think we're becoming more aware of it. I don't know if it's necessarily increased. We're much more connected now, whether it's through social media or gaming systems, whatever it might be. And that gives more opportunities for people who are going to exploit children, exploit other humans in this. So yes, I think there has been an increase. I think it's been around for ages, don't get me wrong. But I think with the advent of social media, every child, it seems, under the age of 12 has a cell phone now. And, not blaming this all on social media or cell phones, but people are more accessible now. So yes, I do think there has been an increase.
For the videos for the schools, how are those going to be implemented? Like, who's watching those?
We're hoping, and that's why I have the support behind me here, that all the teachers, all the school personnel will watch that here. And we're doing this right before the start of the school year. What I'm hoping for personally, I haven't asked for this yet, but I'm hoping it happens, is a lot of times most counties will gather together for some in-service training right before the start of the school year. It's a relatively short video. It's about a 30-minute video. I'm encouraging the counties to play that for their personnel. They'll gain a lot. They'll gain a lot of things to be looking for, things that you might not normally expect to see or associate with human trafficking. One thing that stood out for me, I participated in the formation of the videos, and actually there's a little snippet of me in there. Children with IEPs. Children with IEPs are much more susceptible to human trafficking than other students. And if you think about it, it makes sense. I never thought about that before. Because sometimes they suffer from lower self-esteem and things of that nature. It makes them more likely to be victims. They're going to learn a lot of things like that. I don't want to spoil all the details for the video because I want people to watch the video. But they're going to learn about that. And then once you spot it, they're going to learn, what do I do next? Who should I call? How should I act? And one thing that's really stood out to me when I've actually talked to the victims is, these are victims who we have identified and prosecuted the cases. And they all say, I wish somebody would have realized that sooner. And that person that you're going to realize sooner, it could be a teacher, it could be a CPS worker, it could be a Little League coach, whatever it might be. And it's just someone in the community that recognizes it and makes the report. I'm hoping a big impact. A lot of people think of human trafficking, they're thinking of movies like Taken and things of that nature, and I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen, it does. But, we're seeing this in our own communities where we're seeing family members trade their children for drugs, where we're seeing young, and I hate to use, it's all females because boys are trafficked as well. But, a lot of times your typical human trafficking victim is a younger female. And they first thinks that this is, hey, I get to go to a Columbus this weekend to do a fun trip. And it turns out it's not a fun trip. So more people to be aware of that, more people to pay attention to it. And like I said, sometimes from talking to the victims, they just want that one adult to reach out to them and say, what can I do? And then that will lead us to saving that child and maybe to a successful prosecution. Other questions? I appreciate everybody up here with me today. I want to go, this is not your usual U.S. Attorney's office. A lot of times we have a lot of law enforcement here, but we've got a lot of people from the Department of Education, DHHR. It's going to take all of us working together. I hope every school employee, I'm hoping every CPS employee or people who work in Child Protective Services watch this video. Some of it they may already know. Some of it's going to be common sense. But, if we can save one child from this, get one victim out, it's been worth it. And I hope to save a lot more than one. Thank you very much.